So guys, welcome back to another Photoshop tutorial. In this video I'll be showing you how I was able to achieve this flyer design in Photoshop. So the first thing we have to do here is to create a Canva workspace on which we'll be designing on. So I'll head over to create a new file over here. So over here we have the new document panel that actually comes up. Here we'll be setting this as flyer design by changing the name over here to flyer design. Okay, for this we'll set our units of measurement in inches, 4x4 to be precise, of height and width. Resolution can be left on 300. The color mode remains on RG because this content will be used across social media platforms and other web platforms. So you leave other settings the way they are and hit on the create button. Over here we have the Canva workspace on which we'll be designing on. The next thing I would like to do is to drag in the resource files I'll be using in creating this design. So guys, here are the exercise files I'll be using to create this design. Do well to check the video description. You'll find the link to the resource file in the video description. So the first phase of creating this design has to do with creating of the background, and in order for me to create this background I'll have to make use of this particular image to work on the background. So first thing first, I'll select the background layer over here, head over to the adjustment and select the solid fill color to be precise, and I'll be making use of this hex code. FF6319 is the hex code I'm using for this fill color. Click on the OK button, enable this image here and hit Ctrl T to actually transform this. Okay, scale this down like this and place it around somewhere here like this. Click on the check button and blend the blending mode to soft light. Okay, after you're done with that, add a vector mask to this. Pick your brush to the keyboard shortcut is B on the keyboard, and make sure the flows and opacities are set on 100% respectively. Right click and make sure you're working with the soft round brush to be precise. Okay, so you have to select the mask layer and set your foreground to black. The black enables you to hide out those informations that you don't need on that particular layer. So I would like to brush out these edges very softly like this. Okay, so I'll brush this out of focus. Okay, after I'm done with that, select the layer, make a duplicate of the layer again, pick your move to take this up this way like this, left click and drag it up, and take out the mask layer. For this I would like to place it in this way like this, or hit Ctrl T to transform this out and scale it out a little bit like this. Click on the check, add the vector marks, select the mask layer, make sure your foreground is still set on black, your brush and flows and opacity are set on 100% respectively, and brush out those edges like this. So after you're done with this, the next thing I would like you to do is to make a duplicate of this layer again by hitting Ctrl G, select that, hit Ctrl G, hit Ctrl T to actually transform it out, scale it out properly. Okay, so after you're done with that, the next thing you can do is to delete the mask layer. Select the mask layer, hit the delete and add a new mask layer over here. After you're done adding the new mask layer, hit Ctrl I to invert the selection. Pick your brush tool and apply a little fill of those details, okay, around this side. But for you to see what is hidden here, you have to change your foreground to white. The white enable you to unravel what is actually hidden. Okay, this is so much. Okay, think a little bit like this. So after I'm done with this, I would like to play with their respective blending up. So after you're done with this, I would like to play with the opacity by scaling it down. Okay, for this I would like to take down the opacity to around something like, okay, a little bit lighter. Need this to be a little bit out of focus. Okay, this is okay. For this, okay, I would like to also scale down the opacity, so around something like this is okay. For this as well, I would like to reduce this opacity as well to around something like, okay, something like this is actually okay for this. So moving on, the next thing I would like to do is to pick the rectangle tool from my tool panel here. The keyboard shortcut is U, left click, holding shift to create a perfect square. Okay, after you're done with that, you have the property panel enabled here. Please, if yours is not enabled, you can enable it from the window here and select the properties. If the character panel is also not enabled, you can also enable the character panel by clicking on it. Okay, so we'll be using that in a later part of this video. So for this, I'd like to give this a radius of 11 pixels for the curved edges. Okay, and moving on, I would like to change the fill color, so I'll double click on this over here, and I would like to sample this fill color from here to be precise. Okay, here's the hex code CF3F06 is the hex code. Click on the OK button, Control A on the keyboard, Control A on the keyboard. Pick your move to align this horizontally and vertically into the middle. Control D to actually deselect. So I can choose to take this down a little bit like this and click on the check button. So after we are done with this, the next thing I'd like to do is to create a noise fill texture on this design. So I hit Ctrl Shift N and rename this to noise, change the blend mode to soft light and enable the 50% gray option here. Click on the OK button. Right click to convert the layer to a smart object, head over to filter and apply a noise adjustment to this, add noise, and we would like to scale this to around something like this is okay. Enable the monochromatic and uniform should be selected as well. Click on the OK button. So after we're done with this, in order for me to organize my layers properly, so I'll select the noise layer, holding shift, select the color fill 1 here, okay, by left clicking, holding shift, Ctrl G to group, and I'll call this BG, which actually stands for the background. Okay, so I'm trying to organize my layers. So moving on, I'll have to enable this image here. This image was actually gotten from freepik.com. So I always advise, before working on any image, you should always convert it to a smart object. So I'll right click and convert it to a smart object. By doing so, it enables me to maintain the image resolution whenever I scale it out without losing its original quality. So for this, I would like to scale it out. Hit Ctrl T, scale it out like this. Okay, so I'd like to take this rectangle. I'll go back to the background layer, or the background group rather. Okay, and I'd like to take down this rectangle this way. Okay, so I'd like to make a little change to this image as well. Hit Ctrl T. Okay, hit Ctrl T again, scale it out a little bit, and we are good to go. Ctrl A, align this horizontally, Ctrl D to deselect. So I hold Alt, make a little adjustment to this way, and we are good to go. So moving on, the next thing I like to do is to add depth to this image. So I'll close this group. I would like to add depth to this subject image here. So I'll slide over to the filter, enable the camera raw filter. So over here on the camera raw filter, I would like to enable the before and the after. This is the before and this is the after. So over here we'll be working with the basics. Please take note that when working with this is more of an eyeballing situation. You allow your eyes to actually guide you. There are no rules governing this, so you know when you are applying and making adjustments to it when it is too much on the subject image. So I would like to enhance the exposure, the contrast as well can be enhanced as well. So this, the highlights can be enhanced as well. Okay, it's more of an eyeballing situation, please take note of that. Okay, the shadows as well can be enhanced a little. The white can be adjusted as well. So after we are done with this, we'll move to the blacks. So for the blacks, we need to enhance more lighting to those darker regions as well. Okay, I think this is okay like this. So for this, I would like to take the texture all the way to the top. Okay, for clarity as well, I need to enhance the clarity a little bit like this. So moving on, scroll down and enable the details option over here. Over here on the details, I would like to enhance sharpening a little bit. So I'll take the sharpening all the way to around something like this. Will actually work perfectly well. Okay, so around this is okay. And for this noise reduction, I would like to set this to around something like this. Okay, so we'll leave other settings the way they are. You can see this is how it was looking before, and this is how it is looking like. Okay, so I'll click on the OK button. So moving on, the next thing I'd like to do is to add some images, a PNG image of what this ad is actually all about. This is an ad that has to do with cryptocurrency. So let me right click and convert this to smart object. I also have done that earlier before transforming this out. So scale this out like this and place it around somewhere here like this. Scale it down. Okay, so you adjust it and place it around here. So looking at this subject image here, I need to work on the fill color of the clothing so that it can fit with what we have on the background. Head over to adjustment and enable the hues and saturation. Click on the clip marks to clip marks this. Okay, click on the hand icon and the mouse pointer changes to a color picker. Left click to sample a color from this region and adjust the hues to around something like this. You can see that we have actually changed this to the actual feel of the color we are working on the project. So likewise this as well. Okay, I would like to change its fill color of the coin as well. So hit Ctrl U on the keyboard. Ctrl U will bring up the hues and saturation. So click on this hand icon and sample the color from this and scale down the hues and saturation for this to around 30 or so, and click on the OK button. So after you're done with that, you can make a duplicate by hitting Ctrl J, Ctrl T to transform it out and scale it out, rotate the angle. Okay, you can still scale it out properly, rotate the angle. I think this is okay. You can add a motion blur by heading over to filter, blur, and apply a motion blur to this. I think this radius is okay. Set it as follows and click on OK. So I'll hit Ctrl J to make a duplicate of this and take this around somewhere here like this. Scale this down like this. Okay, and place it around somewhere here like this. Okay, make another duplicate by hitting Ctrl J, Ctrl T, rotate the angle and take it a place around somewhere here like this. Scale this a little bit down like this. Okay, Ctrl J once more, Ctrl T, transform and take one to around somewhere here like this. Okay, I think this is actually looking nice so far. So moving on, the next thing we'll have to do here is to actually add some other elements that we'll be using on this design. So but before doing that, I'd like to select these layers and group them together. So I'll select this layer holding shift all the way to this and group all the coins layers together. So I'll rename this by double clicking and call these coins. For this, I'll group them together, select both layers, group them, and call this subject. Okay, I'm trying to organize the layers. So moving on, the next thing we have to do is to start placing other set of information. Okay, but before doing that, I would like to enable the guides. So I'll head over to guides, new guides layout, view, new guides layout, and I'll be setting this as follows. Here are the parameters I am using to set up my guides. So I'll click on the OK. So moving on, I would like to start placing in icons. Okay, so these are icons that actually depict what the brand hold very dear to themselves. So I think this actually works. So I'll select this first one here, double click on it, the layer style will come up, and I'll apply the color overlay to this and click on the OK. Please take note that over here in the color overlay, this is set on white, this is total white, F 6 times, normal, and opacity set on 100. Click on the OK. So all I have to do here is to hold Alt, left click on the FX, hold Alt, left click on the FX icon beside that layer, drag it down, hold Alt, left click on the FX as well, drag it down to this, and apply the same technique to every other PNG image I intend to use for this. So for this, I'll hit Ctrl T to transform it out, scale it out like this. Okay, so I'll scale it out properly like this. Okay, so for this, I would like to start spacing them out. I think one other one is actually missing. This is here. This I can't actually find this. Okay, it's still in there. So I'll bring it out from the group, hit Ctrl T, scale it out. I like to give them similar size. Okay, like this. So after I'm done, I'll still scale this out a little bit further like this. Okay, so I'll select this layer as well, hit Ctrl T. Okay, transform it out, and we are good to go. Okay, so I can select these 3 layers, make sure they are equally spaced out properly, and I'll take this and place it around somewhere here like this. So I'd like to adjust this by taking this up like this, this as well, taking it down, this as well, taking it this way. Okay, select them all as well, scale down the size and place it around here. Okay, that is in terms of this. So the next thing I would like to do, I will be using this image as the brand logo mark. I don't know if this is an actual brand to see, so I'll right click and convert this to a rasterized layer. I'm not certain this is an actual cryptocurrency brand, this is just for educational purpose. So I got this from Google to be precise, so I'll right click and convert this to a smart object, and I'll hold Alt, left click on the FX, drag it and apply it on this as well. Ctrl T to transform it out and take this and place it around somewhere here like this. I think this is actually okay. Ctrl H to hide your guide. Okay, the logo mark should be visible to create contrast among other icons around here. So Ctrl H to turn on this back. Moving on, the next thing I would like to do is to place in the text that says best crypto exchange. Okay, so for this I would like to change the font to a font called Gotham. So under here I would like to select the black or the ultra. Select the black for this. Okay, so I would like to take this out like this. Okay, and Ctrl A, pick the move tool. Ctrl A, pick the move to align this horizontally to the middle. Ctrl D to actually deselect this. So head over to the character panel and turn off this, please. Turn off this and change this to small letters. Okay, for this as well. Likewise, this I would like to change this to smaller text, font size like this. Okay, adjust the space between text, that is the tracking, by locking this out by -50. Ctrl T, scale this up like this. Check, pick the move to adjust this by taking this up this way. Ctrl H to hide the guides. So far this is how this project has been looking. So the next thing I would like to do here is to select this layer. I need to create a fill of contrast on this rectangle. So I'll select the rectangle layer, double click, the layer style will actually comes up. So I'll head over to outer glow. I need to apply a fill. Okay, for this I'll set this on screen opacity on 21, size should be set on 32. Other settings can be, you can leave other settings the way they are. Change this color to this FF6500 is the hex code. So I'll click on the OK button. For this as well, I'll select this. Okay, that is the subject image. Double click on it, head over to the layer style, apply the same, okay, the same outline outer glow to it. Okay, and click on the OK. I'm trying to separate this shape from the background and this subject from this, thereby creating a feel of contrast. So moving on, the next thing I would like to do is to create a rectangle where we'll be placing in the contact details. Okay, but before doing that, let me select this and group them together. Okay, let me group these together. I'll call this services. Okay, you can leave this at this end. So here I have this as well. Okay, I'll first right click to actually rasterize. Select this eraser tool here, right click, select the magic eraser tool, left click in here, left click here to actually remove the background. Right click and convert this to a smart object. Okay, so I'll hold Alt, okay, on this, left click and drag the effects to this as well to apply the same fill color to this. So that is in terms of that. So but before we proceed, I would like to actually place in a rectangle. I would like to enable this layer here and make sure this is actually visible. I need to stand visible, so I hold Ctrl Shift Alt E to stand visible. Right click, and convert this to a smart object. Okay, so I'll turn off this and select this group layer here, select the rectangle tool. Okay, create a rectangle of this dimension, to be precise, like this is okay. Okay, give it a curve of about let's see, about 29 pixels should work perfectly well. Okay, so the next thing we have to do is hit Ctrl A, pick the move tool and align it horizontally to the middle, Ctrl D to deselect, turn on the guides, and you can actually take this rectangle down like this. Okay, so after we are done, enable the newly stamped layer that we turned off. Hold the Alt button between these two layers. The mouse pointer changes to an arrow pointing downward with a square. So left click to create a clipping mask. You notice, but you can't actually see the rectangle and it is actually enabled. So select this layer that will stamp visible on, head over to filter and apply a Gaussian blur to this. So for this, I would like to set the Gaussian blur radius to around something like this. I don't need this to be totally off, so I'll click on this. You can notice there is a blur effect around this region. So the next thing I like to do is to select this layer here, double click on the rectangle layer. We'll head over to the layer style. Over here on the layer style, we'll work on the strokes as well. For the strokes, we'll select the strokes. Okay, enable this and change the fill to white. Okay, we'll reduce the size and the opacity, set this to around 1. Opacity should be adjusted as well to around this is okay. So head over to inner glow and outer glow. So for the inner glow, I'll set the opacity to around 42 is okay. That is in terms of that. For the size, we like to enhance the size to around 38. Okay. For the outer glow, we'll head over, we'll change the fill to white as well. Okay, and work on the opacity. This is set on 21 and this size should be set on around something like this is okay. Leave other settings the video and click on the OK button. We are trying to create a feel of glass morphism around this region. So moving on, I'll select the layer that will stamp visible on and head over to filter and apply the filter gallery. So over here on the filter gallery, we'll be working under the distort. Select the glass and we'll set this as follows. So for this, I'll set this on 1. Likewise, the smoothness should be set on 1. This can be set to frosted and this can be scaled out as well. Okay, so around, let me see, I'm trying to create a frozen glass feel on this design. Okay, Control minus to see how it actually looks. So I'll click on OK. I think this is actually okay like this. Click on the OK button and you have the glass texture looking like this. Okay, so moving on, the next thing I would like to do here is to place in these icons into the rectangle. So I'll hit Ctrl T, scale this down properly and place it somewhere here like this. Okay, you can see how this is actually looking like. So moving on, the next thing I like to do is also enable these socials and apply the effects. So I hold Alt, drag the effects and apply it on each and every one of them respectively like this. Okay, so I've actually changed their fill color to white. So I'll hit Ctrl T, select. After I'm done selecting the 3 layers, hit Ctrl T to transform it out and place it around somewhere here like this. Okay, so I like to start splitting them out. Okay, make sure that the 3 layers are selected and are equally spaced out. Okay, Ctrl T to actually scale this down. Okay, and you can choose to place it in like this. So group them together by hitting Ctrl G and call this socials. Okay, call this social. So I hold Ctrl, left click on the rectangle layer here to make a quick selection and align this vertically to the center. Select this as well and align this vertically to the center. Ctrl D to actually deselect. Pick your text tool and you can call this exchange, or call this, okay, let me call this exchange like this. That should be the handle I'll be using for this. Okay, so scale this down, pick the move tool and place it around somewhere here like this. Ctrl T. Okay, that is in terms of we working on this. So the next thing I'd like to do is to also place in the contact phone number over here. So I'll call this +234, okay, space 9000 space 000. That is in terms of that. Pick this and align this around somewhere here like this. So I think we're almost done with this. So I'll align this vertically rather, and we are good to go. So adjust this as well and select the rectangle tool and create a tiny rectangle of something like this. Okay, and with a fill color, stroke should not be enabled. A fill color of white. So we can place this around somewhere here like this. Okay, so align this to the center like this. Okay, so moving on, the next thing we'll have to do here is to select all these and group them together. Okay, likewise drag this into here, group them together, hold Control, left click on this as well and align this horizontally and vertically into the space. Ctrl D to actually deselect. You can choose to scale down the size of this manually like this. Okay, that is in terms of that. Okay, I think we are almost done. So ladies and gentlemen, you've come to the end of today's tutorial video. If you find this video helpful, do well to smash the like button, do well to smash the like button right away, guys. If you're new to the channel and you're yet to subscribe, do well to smash the subscribe button. Smash the subscribe button and turn on the post notification bell to get notification whenever I upload new content. And if you're a returning subscriber, thank you for always watching, guys. Thank you for always watching. If you have any questions or comments, do well to leave your questions and comments in the comment section. And please do well to share this content with other creatives around you. And see you in the next.